Okay. I don't know.
Hey,
It's not showing
everybody.
live on the. Oh, there it is. Because I was gonna say it's not showing live because I need to start sharing, but here it is. It's on there.
It's live. It's live everywhere.
Yeah, I guess, child.
Yep, we
So
live.
we live, and then
Still
yeah.
in
Well,
our feelings. At least I'm still in my feelings.
Yeah. I stay in my feelings because I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yesterday, what were you saying? You said the candidates were back in. Well, the former candidates were in bed by by 9 o'clock. Oh
What I
Lord!
say about what now?
You said the candidates was in bed by 9 o'clock. The former candidates.
They was in bed by 9 o'clock. That's a failure.
I listen.
Listen, if you had a race in Florida, which has a history of contested races, right? If you in your bed by 9 o'clock, that's a fair campaign.
Listen,
you giving concessive speeches an hour and a half after the polls close.
Listen,
nah.
I don't even know what to say.
Nah, and I know we count our votes. Florida has real good about counting it. They do a daily count, a record, and everything's electronic. So like once the votes come in, it's just sync the numbers. But that means that thing wasn't even competitive. They were calling those races with like 50% of the places counted and all of that. Because mind you, it's not just our county; it's throughout the state. They literally didn't even have everything in, and they were calling races. And you losing by 20 points, 18 points. Woo. Nah, that ain't competitive.
I'm gonna let you start with.
No, you go ahead and start because I done said a lot already. So you go ahead and start.
So I'm not.
Tell me what your thoughts were.
I'm not surprised at the governor's race, and I'm not surprised of the Senate race. Wasn't surprised about that. I'm disappointed with the races for statewide because those particular candidates did not get the exposure that they deserved. I am disappointed with the Democratic Party. As far as I can remember, all I've ever heard was the party needs to do a better job of doing this, doing that, this, that, the other. And it's this constant, the party needs to do a better job. The party needs to do a better job. The party needs to do a better job. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of listening and feeling and knowing that the party needs to do a better job. The Florida Democratic Party should be shamed. To me is that you already know what the makeup is in Florida. You know what it takes. You know what needs to be done. And if you don't know what it takes, you're muted.
Listen, if you ran to run the entire the Florida Democratic Party, you should know. You need to know what the makeup of all 67 counties are. You need to know what's needed because apparently you made that promise to people that you know what's needed in all 67 counties to get them to vote for you, to give you this position. You told them that you knew how to get money, raise money to help candidates up and down the ballot. You had to say those things in order to get this job, right? And now you got the job and there's people you didn't even call, people you didn't even mention. I could count the emails I got from you. I got more emails from out-of-state candidates running for office than I did from the Florida Democratic Party.
All I'm saying is the Florida Democratic Party, the leadership is trash. Listen, the same thing happened to, what was her name that was the chair before him? What was her name again?
Before Jamie Harrison?
No, I'm talking about the Florida Democratic Party.
Oh, Terry Rizzo.
After that consequential loss, she was cut. My thing is that I blame the Democratic Party. I do not blame the people because the people came out and voted like they were supposed to. This is, we were higher in terms of a midterm election anyway. Our percentages was higher this time around. So more people did come out to vote. But
more people Republicans or more people Democrats?
Charlie Crist lost by 950,000 votes.
Okay.
That compared to Andrew Gillum, that is
terrible.
You got whooped.
That's a failure.
There's a failure to communicate.
Campaign.
There's a failure to find out what the disconnect is. There's a failure to get people to come out to vote. There's a failure to get voter education out there. The Democratic Party was trash. I'm sorry, it was trash. And
leadership in the Florida Democratic Party, because it wasn't all trash candidates on that ballot. There's very good candidates.
And I started off with that. The leadership was trash, garbage. There's no, it wasn't. You know, I would feel a little bit better if there was an inkling of competitiveness. It wasn't even a competition.
No, not if you're in bed by 9 o'clock on election night in Florida. Please.
You have a candidate
that was not competitive.
Candidates that were propped up to be the golden children, and then
I don't even know if that's what it was. I think that that they would have, like, if they won, then everybody else would win.
No.
I think that, like, they're the ones that.
No, that was that they only highlighted them. They only made them the face rather than making sure.
So that must have been part of the strategy, because you would think that if they're going to go in to vote for Charlie and Val, right, that they're going to vote for everybody else, right? Like, you know, if you're going to go vote for those two, you should vote for everybody else. If you're going to go vote Democrat along all the way down,
not necessarily.
That's probably why they was like, we're going to focus on them. I don't know, man.
No, but listen, it'd be one thing if they said focus on them, and then we're talking about, you know, different counties have different their races, and then they don't really put too much emphasis. But you had people running statewide. There was 4 other candidates running statewide for key positions that would alleviate some of the issues we're going through in Florida. They didn't highlight those people.
Nope, not even when. Yeah, that's right. And when Biden was here at Florida Memorial, those other statewide candidates, the Attorney General Amaris Ayala, the Commissioner of Agriculture Naomi Blumer, the Chief Financial Officer candidate Adam Hattersley, they should have all been on that stage with a photo opportunity too with the president, so people could know who they were. People were going into that thing, didn't know who these people was, what they do, nothing. Okay, nothing. And that is crazy. That is crazy talk.
I don't believe. I believe. Let me see. I don't believe that the Democratic Party should assume that everybody's going to vote down the ballot.
No, that's not their job. Their job is not to make assumptions. We all know when you make assumptions, what that means.
To cover all your bases. Yeah. How small the election is. All your bases need to be.
This election was big. It was nothing small about this one.
Saying, and what I mean by small, and I don't mean to minimize them, but the other 4 candidates that we just talked about, those should have been highlighted. They should have been pushed. They should have been rolling their names off.
The FDP should have been helping them raise money.
All of that.
And that's part of their job.
There's no reason why the Commissioner of Agriculture has to go around trying to beg people. There's no reason why she should have been.
I mean, she's supposed to beg and fundraise, so that's part of her job too. What?
Not in the sense that she couldn't get help from the Democratic Party is what I'm saying.
Okay, they needed to help her too. She needed to be making phone calls, begging for money, but they should have helped her too.
Absolutely.
And even if they couldn't help with money, when they had these people that had high visibility, because you know they would bring at the end the last week they bring in celebrities with big Instagram followings and all that type of stuff. So when they were doing that, they needed to allow them to be on that platform too, to give them that visibility. So if you didn't have money to give, sweat equity is just as valuable as money. So if you didn't have money, there's other things that could have been done, that should have been done, that needed to be done in order for these candidates, for people to know who they were, and then and for there to be visibility. But the other thing too is, like, in these last few weeks, when they were like last few days, I ain't even gonna say weeks, it was a whole bunch of stuff that they did the last week, right? I'm like, okay, so say people know your name now this week, right? Do you know they can't vote for you because voter registration ended October 11th, right? So some of the things that they were doing now, I'm like, well, okay, that might be good for the people that's already registered, but there might be a whole bunch of folks that might have voted for y'all, that might vote for you, that want to vote for y'all now, but they're not registered to vote because y'all ain't do nothing before October 11th.
All I'm saying is that we did our best. I think we did our best trying to get people to understand what was on the ballot, and also try to interview down ballot candidates, try to make sure they get their names out there.
It was a lot of candidates. And there was no way that once we saw how many candidates, it was like, all right, we ain't gonna be able to talk to all these people, right? Because like you had the cities, like a lot of Tamarack, Coral Springs, Margate, Plantation, Sunrise, Oakland Park. I mean, all of these cities had races. They had commission races. Some of them had mayor races. So it was a lot of candidates. So there was no way for us to do that. But that's something that the Broward Democratic Party should have been talking about. They should have been having forums on all of this. Every now and then you would hear about something. I have family members who live in different parts of the different cities in the county. And so they were calling me about their ballots. And I was like, wait, so one Coral Springs was one of them, Margate was another one, Plantation was another. When I got the Plantation ballot, I was like, I know all these people were running. I knew one of the mayoral candidates, not both, didn't have enough information on them. One of the women, Denise Horland, she actually won her seat. We interviewed her on the show. She had a competitor. There was another seat that had 3 people in the race. One of the guys I knew, H. Wayne Clark, because he had ran for like sheriff or something like that. He was on the ballot. But I actually had to call people I knew in Plantation, be like, yo, who are these people? And what are your thoughts on them? So I ended up having to do that for some folks, for the family that I have that lives in Plantation, who they're like, I don't even know who I would talk to and ask about this, because there was very few things. And it turns out that there was a panel that was done for the folks in Plantation that was online that I was able to look at a little bit. But even then, that's like one panel. You can't necessarily make an assessment. Most people didn't even know that thing happened. You know what I'm saying?
It really goes to and it really should be the responsibility of those cities, party, Democratic Party, and or whatever.
Well, so for Broward, it's the party. The party should be doing it. They paying people. And I ain't calling no names, but they're paying people to do voter education, voter outreach, community outreach, and all of that stuff. I got an email Tuesday to one of those folks.
I'm just trying to figure out where is the disconnect, because if you have a chair of Broward, you have a whole Broward Democratic over all of Broward, right? These people on top should be talking to all the cities and their respective clubs.
Ain't no pandemic this year. There was no pandemic.
You highlighting all these candidates. There's no reason why people in the cities of Plantation, Coral Springs, Margate, Tamarack don't know who on their ballot. There's no reason for it.
They did not know. Let me tell you, they didn't know none. They were like, who are these people? None.
Listen, and I'm not going to be sitting here trying to say, complaining about what they should have done and this, that, the other way. What I'm saying is this is nothing new. This is not something that just all of a sudden this midterm election brought this all out. This has been going on too long enough, and Florida Democratic Party should be shamed that
they all need to quit their jobs today.
Lost by how much they lost by
900,000 votes, bruh.
Okay,
and he had name ID. Imagine Andrew Gillum didn't get name recognition until that election in 2018. He was like, when it was 6 people in that race, he was number 6 when it started, and he ended up being the nominee. So he started off with no name ID, with very little name ID, out of Tallahassee nonetheless, and managed to 30,000 something votes he lost by. And you have a guy that's been in politics since the 90s, and you lose by 900,000 votes. Give me a break.
Not only did you lose by 950,000 votes, but you also lost your seat to a Republican. You left your job.
So he was a congressperson. Those seats are 2 years, right? So he was going to have to run for re-election anyway.
Yeah, but
who knows what would have happened? Maybe the thing is, Luna would have beat him anyhow.
I honestly don't think
that's her name.
I don't think if he was still running for his seat, he would have lost his seat in Congress. That's just me. That's just my feeling about that. We do have feelings about people leaving one office to run for another office.
Yeah, but he kind of wasn't leaving because he really they have to run every 2 years.
No, and I get that. But for me, you've already been governor, right? You
as a Republican,
been there and done that. Is my point. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, it's just like
he left that to run for Senate. He left I don't know. I can't remember if his term was up or not, but actually I don't think it was, because he had won in 2010, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And then in 20? No, he ran in 2010 for Senate. And when was the governor election? Because if we did it in 22, then it was 18, 14, 2010.
It wasn't 2000.
Oh, so no, he didn't. He finished out his term because the election was in 2010. Because he ran for Senate in 2010 and his term was up in 2010.
The fact that they thought that he was supposed to be the best, the best that they could find for the Democratic nominee.
Because 22 is 6. 12 is, yeah. That's right. I think some of the thoughts were that he would get some Republicans to vote for him, since he was a Republican before, and since he was an independent, he may get some NPAs to vote for him. That was a failed strategy. That was a losing strategy.
But even when we talked about it, I already said that wasn't gonna work.
I wasn't supporting him in the beginning, but I did fall in line and voted.
I fell in line too. My point is that the Florida Democratic Party understands the dynamics, and the fact that
they should understand the dynamics.
Well, the Florida Democratic Party chair stated that he did, and if he understood it as well as he said,
he was puffing and overstating what he could do. Clearly overstated what he could do, because he ain't do nothing.
Clearly you didn't understand the assignment.
You know what I mean? Sometimes how you go to them job interviews, you gotta talk yourself up and act like you're the best thing since sliced bread. And sometimes folks are convincing and they get hired for jobs that they're not qualified for. The evidence, the evidence has shown that he ain't qualified for this, and he should not get an opportunity to mess up 24. I'm telling you.
So
he should not. They don't need to take no more chances with this dude to see what he could do in 24, because clearly he can't do nothing, because all of his candidates was in bed by 9:00. In every single race.
So all I gotta say, I know somebody posted on Facebook saying, I'm not giving up on Florida. I'm gonna still fight for Florida. That's
No, we should still fight for Florida. Florida's winnable. Florida is absolutely winnable. You just got to put in the work. Trying to win Florida ain't for the lazy.
Florida is winnable, and what I can say, if the chair of the Florida Democratic Party and the chair of the Broward Democratic Party, if the chair of the
Miami-Dade Democratic Party, 67 county parties,
Beach, Orange County, whoever gets to see this or whatever.
Orange is blue. Orange, Alachua, Leon, Broward, Palm Beach were blue. They were kind of light blue. I think Alachua was blue. Orange was bluer than Broward. Everybody, how they say it, everybody. There needs to be some sort of great intervention. Okay, there needs to be a real big discussion. And who they gonna talk to? Who they gonna talk to? These people who just lost? I'm about to speak Creole because I'm trying not to curse. So who is it that they're gonna talk to, right? Are they gonna talk to these same campaign folks that just lost all these elections? When this conversation takes place, who is it they're gonna be talking to, right? Who they gonna talk to? They can't be talking to these same losers.
Obviously, candidates are not the person who not the people.
No, I'm talking about the campaign staff. All of these, people who got paid checks to help people win. Who they gonna go talk to themselves?
The Democratic Party's leadership needs to have a conversation. All of them. They all need to say what? And say what to themselves. They need to figure out how they gonna do
that. Before 2024. No, they can't do the job in 24. They can't do the job in 24. It's too much at stake at 24. If you lose, listen, if this is the group of people that created these results, they can't talk to themselves. They need to go get some outside folks to talk to them, to tell them what they need to do, because clearly they can't govern themselves. They can't regulate themselves. They shouldn't be the ones to be responsible for checking themselves, because they ain't gonna want to take this loss, because this was a big L right here. This was a huge big L, and they're not going. I don't think they have the capacity to accept this defeat and put this responsibility on them. Because I keep hearing these things about voters. This right here ain't on the voters. This is on them candidates, and this is on the party. Now, I'm not saying every state is in this situation, because I think Georgia's situation is very different from here. But in Florida, this is on them candidates, yo. This is on the party. This is the party that did this. And I don't think they could govern themselves to figure out what it is that they need to do different. And on top of that, I think even more than all of that, I don't think they're willing or capable, or maybe capable, but not willing. I don't think they're willing to put in the type of work that's needed in order to win in Florida. So that's where I'm at with that. I don't think they're ready, willing, capable, able, whatever, to put in that work. I don't think so. A lot needs to be done. I think my co-host is frozen. I'm not sure what's going on. I think my co-host is frozen because I can't imagine she's able to hold that face for this long. So hopefully, like in a second or two, her thing will, she gone. So I guess she'll enter the room again, and then we'll be, I'll just give her a sec to go back on. It's been raining. We're dealing with some thunderstorm, tropical storm, Nicole, that's coming through. And so the weather's bad. So everybody's internet is tripping. I'll give her a second to come back on. But, just the results of yesterday was just very tough. And I mean, we were trying to come on yesterday, but I couldn't even, I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know what to say to come on yesterday because I was so disappointed by what's happening. Now, I'm disgusted by some of what's going on in Georgia, but I was just truly disappointed by what happened in Florida yesterday. So I was holding it down until you came back. I told him it's the rain. It's the rain. The internet tripping.
Nicole is like, not today, sis. Not today.
Not today.
But yes, thank you for holding it down, co-host.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna have my intimate problems or whatever. I was super disappointed. Super disappointed. My real disappointment was not really for the governor's race or the senator's race, because I knew what the outcome was going to be.
The outcome was going to be? Yeah. Them people had a lot of money. I mean, them people had like millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars.
The way that they were moving and the way that
I don't know, but they had a lot of money.
But the way the Democratic Party was moving, I knew that was going to be an issue. I knew it was going to be an issue. I really did. Like the messaging was trash. Charlie Kirk's commercials was garbage. It was just trash. I'm sorry, it was trash. Trash. They were inundating me with text messages. Oh, we got this, and we need you to pitch in, and we need this, that, the other, whatever. They were good with annoying you, but they weren't good with the messaging. The messaging was garbage. I'm sorry, it was garbage. As far as Val Demings' campaign goes, I mean, I think she tried, but I think she brought her heavy hitters way too late in the game. Who did she have? She had what was it? Jennifer
Lewis came, Malcolm D. Lee came
in the beginning.
Yeah,
like
Michael Keegan Michael Key came.
But let me take that back, because I feel like Stacey Abrams had big heavy hitters in the beginning of her campaign too, and that still didn't kind of move people to get
those the voters. Because imagine. So I looked at the numbers, and I'm not a numbers person, so I'm just listen. So I'm not trying to say that, but what I saw was, like, say for instance, if you just look at how many people voted for Warnock, right? She had 130-something thousand votes less than him. So people went in there, and I don't know if they voted, whatever. Even if you look at the Herschel Walker numbers, there were almost 100,000 less. So people went in that voting room, voted for either Warnock or Herschel, but didn't vote for her, because her numbers were like 1.8. Their numbers are 1.9 million. So, I mean, really? You went in there and voted for one of those two guys, but didn't vote for her? So to me, that says something. So there's a lot of, I'm sure they're gonna look into that, figure out who that was. Was it the sisters, the brothers, the white people, the white women, the white men, the whoever? But they're gonna figure out who the dynamic was that went in there and voted for one of the guys in the Senate race and didn't vote for her for the governor's seat, because she lost by like 8 points. I mean, her loss was bigger, like far bigger than it was the last time. But even if you just look at people who went in there and voted for one of those people in the senator race, they didn't vote for her. How do you explain that? I mean, somebody's going to explain that. And for me, I think she put in that work. So if you do all of that and you lose, I'm okay with that, because at least you know that you did everything you could in order to win. And if you didn't win, you just didn't win, right? That's that. But in Florida, we cannot say that our candidates did everything they could do.
And that's the case of Stacey Abrams' race being more of the people rather than the candidate in the party. And here in Florida is really more of the candidate in the party rather than the people. And so for me,
people ain't know. I was talking to people like 5 days before the election. They didn't even know there was an election going on. I was talking to people
3 days in front of the
I voted last year.
What? They had no clue. They had no clue who was on the top of the ballot. They were all confused about who the attorney general, who they had no clue.
They know. And I had stickers on my car. So I had I had Val's bumper sticker and Charlie's bumper sticker, because I think ain't nobody else had money to get bumper stickers, right? So I didn't have them. So I had those, and people would be like, well, who that? I mean, some of them, they knew Charlie Crist, right? And they was like, who's this Hernandez person that's running with him? That's a whole nother conversation, right? And people still didn't know who Val Deming was. I was like, what do you mean? She's running for Senate and this and that, whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. I was like, she was part of the impeachment. And they're like, yeah, okay. I still don't know who that is, right? And I literally had stickers on the car, and people were asking me. The other folks, I mean, I could do. I mean, I wore T-shirts as much as I could, and it was also, it was interesting how at the end of all these campaigns, it was shirts all over the place. So we're gonna see there was shirts all over the place. But during the summer, when it would have been nice to start putting these names out in the streets, you couldn't get nothing.
I just think the party took too long to get to where they needed to be. And my thing is that coming off of a Trump presidency, that should have been their whole game plan the entire time. Like there shouldn't have been a break in the middle or whatever, or we could afford to kind of let this lie for a little bit. There should have been a continuous, deliberate, aggressive messaging
every time,
making sure, the whole time.
And in 2020, because of the pandemic, I think people did a lot more. Right, they just did more because of the pandemic, and they found creative ways to engage folks with the candidates.
Absolutely.
So you would have thought like, okay, so now we know that we don't necessarily have to always go in person. We can do things online. We can do virtual events. We can do all this kind of stuff, right? And they didn't do that. But I mean, they had a lot of texting. Like, I was so sick of text messages. Like, don't you effing text me again. So I stopped a whole bunch of them today, but believe it or not, people are still asking for money because Nevada is still up in play. Nevada is still up in play for the Democrats. We kind of really need to get that seat too. We need to get that one also. If we get that, because actually we already had it. So if we lose Nevada, it's like we lost the seat, right? Which picking up Pennsylvania kind of keeps that balance as long as we keep Georgia. But if we can keep Nevada, that will be like amazing. And then that would mean that we're really up one. Mark Kelly, they're still counting. It looks like he should win.
Yeah.
It looks like he should win in Arizona. So that seat is up. Huh?
I said it looks like he should win.
Yeah, it looks like he should win, but we're not sure what's going on with that. And Nevada is the other state that, because Nevada does something weird. Like they count military ballots and all kind of stuff like a week after the election and all that kind of stuff. So it may be a little bit longer before we find out what happens in Nevada.
We won't know about Warnock and Herschel until December 6th because they're an automatic runoff.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, we were trying to avoid that, but
if we get Nevada, then if Arizona stays and we also get Nevada, then Georgia is 51 because we'll have 50. So it's two independents that typically vote Democrat, so it's really 48-48 with two independents. But if we get Nevada, then whatever happens in January is just that's an extra extra boost for us or whatever. And let me tell you,
This is really vital that we get that, only because we are in a position now where we can't get anything passed, right? We can't get nothing passed. Now, we still probably will be in a difficult position because it does project to look like the Republicans will take over the House. However, we can still try to get some things passed in the Senate that is still sitting there. I think that there's some bills that are still sitting in the Senate. And so we can be in a position where we can try to get some of those things passed. But I'm telling you, this midterm election was a very big midterm election. This is what I mean. We did have record numbers in different states in terms of early voting and voter turnout. However,
but it seemed like that was both work of the Republicans and the Democrats.
Yeah. It was.
And the other, there's another untapped group of voters in Florida that I think the candidates were scared to mess with, right? So we have like over 1 million returning citizens, right? These are people who were convicted of felonies, who had lost their right to vote, and because of Amendment 4, they got their right to vote back, right?
Yep.
A lot of the candidates don't want to mess with them or deal with them because they have criminal history. But what they don't understand is, like, there's some people who lost their right to vote because they got charged with taking their girlfriend iPhone during an argument. You know what I'm saying? And they ended up having to plead to a grand theft charge. That's not no bad person. That's young people doing dumb stuff that had like some serious consequences, right? So every time people think of felons, they always think like, oh, they must have been a murderer, sexual offender, this, that. No, people in Florida, you can become a felon for any old stupid thing. Imagine in Florida, your third driving while license suspended can be charged as a felony. Okay, that can be charged as a felony. Do they do that in South Florida? No, but in other parts of the state, they charge those cases as felony. So a person lost their right because of that, and then you're gonna tell me candidates are scared to find out, like, yo, is this one of them people and not engage that community?
Isn't it a felony also to use a different address when you're trying to put your kid in another school or something? Wasn't that?
It's a whole bunch of felonies, and which we understand that because
there's a woman I know who got her rights back because that's what she did. She used a different address and got in trouble for it. So my thing is that you have a slew of felonies that are non-violent that really shouldn't be felonies, but they are, right?
And that shouldn't be a reason for that person not to be able to vote. And since they got that right to vote, why are candidates afraid to engage that community? Why are you engaged? That might have been them 900,000 votes you needed, Charlie Chris.
You listen, I'm just saying.
And I'm not saying all those felons are Democrats, so that was kind of little, like, that was. I'm not making that built-in assumption.
But that
was through the efforts of a Democrat. Well, that was a Republican involved in that also. But that was the efforts of Desmond Meade, a Democrat that got that on the ballot. Again, somebody else was assisting him too. But that could have been a game changer, and they're not engaged in this community. These
but the funny thing is when you talk about convicted felons, there were Republicans running who were convicted felons, right? I'm just saying,
under indictment or investigation.
I'm just putting things in perspective. There were Republicans who were convicted felons that were running for office.
Hey, right? Listen.
And
some that's under indictment that was running that ran and won.
You got one. I can't remember what state it was. He killed his whole wife
in Indiana.
And won the primary.
Sitting in jail.
I can't even make that up. I can't make it up.
Wait, he killed his wife who was battling cancer.
Okay? Cancer.
That's not funny. That is not funny.
No, it's not.
No, the part of it that's funny is that it's so absurd. It's so absurd that we're actually we allow these types of things to happen. That's the absurdity in it all. Not that this woman lost her life, not that she was sick, but the absurdity that you can have a person who murdered his wife sitting in. Okay, so I'm an attorney, so I understand the presumption of innocence, right? But there was no issue about whether or not he killed this woman. There was no. He killed that woman. It was pretty clear he did that. But he's sitting here saying his name is on the ballot, and people voted for him. That's not voter education. That's that information, because people probably didn't even know this man was sitting in jail. Because
whatever. All I want to do is leave people with this.
Leave them with what?
I'm gonna leave them with this. All the more reason why you need to make sure you're registered to vote. You need to make sure you come out and vote. And if you have questions while you're at the polls, you are well within your rights to ask candidates and or campaign people working with other people. Don't let you not knowing somebody who's on the ballot or not knowing what the things are deter you from coming there and getting the information. And listen, Broward County is good about sending out what do they call it again? Thing ballots. Sample ballots. Mm-hmm. They send them out on a regular, okay?
And they're online.
And it's online. And anything that you don't understand, we all have phones now. We can look that information up. Like, and it literally takes a few minutes just to see who's on the ballot. Google the person's name to see what you find out about them. Get a little bit of familiarize yourself just a little bit with the candidates. There should be no reason that we have 12 million registered voters in the state of Florida that only
a little less than 5 million voted.
A little less than 5 million people voted. Mm-hmm. No reason. There's no.
It might only been 4 million, but it was less than 5 million people voted.
I think it was probably like 4 million because
it was like about 4 million.
This number was like 3 million. Something.
Yeah, none of them had 2 million voters. It was like less than 4 million voters.
Less than that. Yeah, it was less than that. Mm-hmm. So like what I'm saying is like there's no reason. Like there's no reason. Don't let this deter you. We do have criticism for our party. That is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to hold people accountable, and it is what it is. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to vote anymore, and that doesn't mean that we don't feel discouraged and we're like, we understand why some people like I ain't gonna waste my time, but we get it. However, we are not in a position to make that decision and not do it. Like that's something we have to do. Like don't take it for granted. If it wasn't important, Tallahassee, the people in Tallahassee wouldn't be working so hard to make sure you don't have the opportunity to vote. So I said all that to say, hold your elected officials accountable, hold your party chairs accountable, deal with your party, how you need to deal with them. Ask them questions, say, well, what happened? Why we didn't know about this? Because it takes us all, it takes all of us. It's a collaborative effort to make sure we get to where we need to be. Going into 2 years in 2024, I'm telling you, it's not gonna be easy. When you have a whole entire Republican that's running the whole state, we're going to have to fight for some of the stuff we need to do. We're going to have to fight and push them to do what we need will be equitable for everybody. Just know that that's the battle going in. But come 2024, Sandra said that she feels that DeSantis is going to give us 6 months and he's going to run for office.
He's going to stop being the governor in June 23.
Listen.
I don't know if he's gonna come down the escalator, but he's gonna do something.
When he was asked,
and he'll be running for 18 months.
When he was asked if he was gonna run for president, he didn't answer the question. So
his silence was an answer.
Yes.
All right. So I know you gotta go, but this. So you were putting the onus on voters to be informed, be engaged, reach out, man. No, that's not what I'm gonna say. What I'm gonna say, right, is the Broward Democratic Party got me donating money to them every month, right? And all of that is supposed to for them to be able to do outreach and this and voter registration and that all that stuff, right? Okay. So that's on y'all to do that, right? That's why y'all get money, get donations, paying people, because I know at least 2 people that they got on staff. I ain't calling nobody names, but I'm saying they got 2 people at least that I know at least that's on staff that's supposed to be educating voters and letting people know what's going on, right? Them people need to do their jobs, right? People, yes, okay, all citizens know that they have a right to vote in the United States or whatever, but we have these parties that's asking for donations, that's getting money, and they're supposed to be going out here educating people in all these different forums about candidates, about registering to vote, about all of these things. They need to do their job. Y'all got 2 years to get this right in 24. I'm not gonna tell them people to go call their friends and their mamas and nothing like that. No, y'all need to do that. Even when they had the trainings about like how to get out the vote, they were telling people go on your social media and post and tell your friends and tell your cousins. Y'all want getting checks. Y'all go do that. Don't go put all of this on me. You should have been in the community. You should have been in the churches. You should have been at the schools. You should have been at the fairs outside in the heat. You should have been doing all of that stuff to get people engaged and informed about what's going on.
That's right.
Yes, people need to go out to vote, but that's your job to let them know when they're supposed to be voting, and give them an idea of who they're supposed to be voting for, providing the information for them to have those candidates, okay? And everything can't be online because everybody ain't that savvy and got all that access. And you don't get to just do your job sitting in your house behind no computer because you don't want to go outside and interact with folks, okay?
Hello.
So what I gotta say, I'm not putting this on the voters in Florida. The other states, that's a different issue. But in Florida, these daggone people that's out here asking people for money left, right, and center every time you turn around to pay folks to do their job need to actually do their jobs. We don't need another party. I'm not talking about political party. I'm talking about some gala that y'all want to go charge people $150 for and then invite people so folks can take pictures and say, oh, they do this and that, and I met the president and I met this person, but they ain't doing nothing. No, go to work. This is not about you upping your celebrity status so you can post pictures online about all the famous people that you met and you ain't even do the work that happens on the ground. That's where I'm at with that. And all this loss is on y'all. This loss is on y'all all day, every day. I don't care what y'all say. Call me, check me, whatever. But this loss is on y'all because I was out there, and I'm not saying I was out there doing all this work. I was out there doing what I already got 3 other jobs self can do, but y'all was getting paid to do a job, and I ain't see y'all nowhere doing nothing. Okay, I'm getting emails every now and then. Hell, I can send emails too. You know what I'm saying? You want to get paid to send emails? Seriously? No, you need to go outside, be at the church, social to post, all these other stuff that other people was organizing. Not even a party, organizing. But everybody, you go to the banquet, everybody there so they can take their pictures and act like they know famous people.
You let them tell it. They was out there on knocking on doors. You let them tell it.
And then the other thing was half of the events that I went to, they were already like those people were already voting. It's like it was. I was like, okay, so where the other people?
They only trying to bring in the same people. They stay
over
with
and over
again. They don't venture out where the other people are. They stay with the same group. It's too cliquish.
That's already voting. No, I need you to go get that person who. Yeah. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're right. I said you can't get nowhere if you're gonna just stick with your clique. That's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. Y'all can't be with the same recycled people all the time. You need to branch out. What you doing?
What y'all doing?
What y'all doing?
And I guess the next show is gonna talk about the people that actually won, right? Because I think we still so mad. We're not even. Well, at least I know I'm still. Well, I don't know. Mad is the word. Annoyed is for sure the word, right? So the next show we'll talk about all the folks that run. I think we got like 3 dudes on the school. What is it? 3 dudes on the school board.
Wait, I don't think so. I think
Fam won. No, it's Alan Zeman, Jeff Holness, and Rob Velez.
Oh, right.
Won, and then Stephen Julian didn't win. Brenda Pham won. So we got 3 guys that are about to get on the board. With her, we got, talk about those folks and some of the other races or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So
we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. But I'm telling you, FDP, BDP. I mean, yes, Broward was light blue, but FDP, failure. Absolute failure.
We normally darker than the light blue, but okay.
No, we usually blue. That thing was light blue.
That's what I'm saying. We normally darker than the light blue.
I need to go find something else to do. This ain't it.
We normally not light blue. We normally darker than the light blue. But I don't know what happened. Whatever. But
you know what happened? They ain't do nothing. Oh, they ain't do enough. I don't want to say they ain't do nothing because I hate when people say you don't do nothing when you've done something, but they did not do enough.
Stick with it was trash.
They didn't do enough.
I'm not saying they did enough, but they didn't do too much. I'm just saying it was trash. What happened yesterday was garbage.
That was bull.
All right. Well, we'll come back with our next show. We'll talk about all the winners.
We'll talk about the winners. See if a couple of them will come on and talk about it or whatever like that. We'll invite a few folks. And shout out to Dr. Katrina Touchstone that won in West Park. 3rd time was the charm for her. Shout out. And I shout her out because I voted in Carver Ranches, and that's the area that she's from. And I was intentional about doing that. So shout out
to Denise Grant in Lauderhill. Congratulations, Miss Grant, for winning.
Yes.
Congratulations. But we will come back and we'll give you a list of everybody who won. And then we'll try to get them to come on.
And for the 305, Marlene Bastien, Commissioner.
Congratulations.
Yes. She did that.
Congratulations. So
all right.
We'll
have
see
a good
y'all
one, folks.
Week. All right. Peace.